Newsrme. Pakistan's exports to 9 regional nations increased by 16.97%. In FY22, Pakistan's exports to Afghanistan, China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Iran, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives amounted to $4.59 billion, or 14.43% of the country's total worldwide exports of $31.79 billion. China leads the list of regional exports from Pakistan, leaving India and Bangladesh in the dust. Only through water could Islamabad do business with its distant neighbours Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and the Maldives. On the other hand, imports from these nations increased by 28.84% to $17.814 billion in fiscal year 22 compared to $13.826 billion in the prior year's same period. During the period under review, Pakistan's trade imbalance with the region grew due to its massive imports. Pakistan's exports to China increased in 2021 and 2022. China receives the lion's share of regional exports, which amounts to 60.58%, while 8 other nations get the remainder. In FY22, Pakistan's exports to China increased by 36.12%, from $2.04 billion in FY21 to $2.78 billion. The post-COVID era was characterized by a rise in export revenues, notably rice exports. In contrast, imports from China increased 30.03% to $17.296 billion during the period under consideration, compared to $13.301 billion in the previous year. The majority of imports, 97.09%, come from China, while the remainder comes from 8 other nations. Pakistan's exports to Afghanistan decreased by 43.8%, from $983.314 million in FY21 to $552.518 million in FY22. A few years ago, Afghanistan was Pakistan's second largest export market behind the United States. The export numbers did not include the local currency revenues that were realized. Imports from Afghanistan decreased by 17.84% to $147.249 million compared to $179.223 million in the previous year, primarily due to more significant imports of necessary kitchen products such as tomatoes, potatoes, and onions, as well as fresh and dried fruits. In the post-Taliban era, the government permitted maximal imports from Afghanistan in rupees through land routes. Substances made in rupees were not included in the calculations.